Dak Prescott turns down $30 million a year and asks for 40. Jerry Jones has a problem on his hands, especially with Zeke still holding out. More predictions coming up for the AFC and the NFC East this week. Hard Knocks comes back on again tonight, episode 2. How's that going to play out with Antonio Brown? All that and more coming up next on the Average Sports Guys podcast.
You're listening to the Average Sports Guys podcast with Eddie and Marcus.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Yo.
All right, so this is Eddie and Marcus, Average Sports Guys. This is the Average Sports Guys podcast. We're here for episode 14.
It's 14.
My man.
Let's go.
So before we get rolling into the show, just wanted to give a quick shout out to my man Steve and David over at Full Color Prints, known as the DMV T-shirt guys. For people who are listening out of the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, that's what DMV means.
Yeah, man.
DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So they did hats, shirts. So they do screen printing, embroidery, whatever you guys need. Hit them up at
fullcolorprintsdc.com.
That's right. You can also find them on Instagram at the DMV T-shirt guys.
Absolutely.
All right. So we are back with another round of predictions.
Yeah, man.
And this week we're going to do the AFC and the NFC East. So I will let Marcus go first since I went first last week.
Yeah, man. So let's start off with the NFC East.
It's our division.
It's our division. You know, we had to bring it up. We even got the helmets out today. We're going to be using them for various things throughout the season on this podcast, but let's get into it. So I honestly think, and yes, I'm a homer, I honestly think right now, based on what I've seen from, roster moves and how organizations are handling things, I think that it's our division to lose, as in my Eagles. But the biggest caveat to that whole argument is if Carson Wentz can stay healthy. I mean, That's literally what every analyst across the United States is talking about. They're saying, well, they went out and they got Jordan Howard. We brought in Miles Sanders. We have Andre Dillard as left tackle, as a backup right now because we don't know how Jason Peters' health is going to work out. We still have studs at receiver and Alshon. We brought in D-Jax. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside actually looked pretty decent. Still have Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. We have so many weapons, but at the end of the day, can we keep Carson Wentz healthy? And that's just the offensive side of the ball. When you get into the defense, we have Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson. We brought back Timmy Jernigan. We have Derek Barnett coming off for injury. We have Brandon Graham. Our secondary is getting healthier. So once again, I think all this is predicated on the health of our corners. Actually, I'm going to add that to it, and then, Carson Wentz as a whole.
Right. Well, yeah, because the last person you want coming in to back him up is Sudfeld.
Yeah.
Who's obviously dealing with an injury now.
And he's not back until week 4.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I will say, and I know it's going to piss off a lot of Redskins fans, but I would agree with you, especially with all the turmoil that's going on now with Trent Williams and the uncertainty of that. Our offensive line looks porous. We signed Donald Penn. He's older. I don't know how well he'll hold up through a 16-game season. So right now, as it stands, I would go with the Eagles. I could make a case for Dallas if Zeke was there.
Right.
Because they have offensive line. So with Amari Cooper, I mean, Dak is serviceable.
Yes.
And we'll get into that contract stuff later. But as it stands, I would say it's the Eagles' division to lose for sure. But knowing our division, I wouldn't be surprised if down the stretch you see anything happen. Again, Wentz goes down.
Injuries, something. And
anything can happen. So, But, as it stands, I would definitely go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Absolutely. And why don't you go ahead and lead us off for the AFC East prediction?
All right. So just to clarify for people who don't know, so in this division, as far as I'll back to the NFC. So the NFC East is Washington, Philadelphia, Dallas, and the Giants. So in the AFC East, we have Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots, and the New York Jets.
Yeah.
I'm going to just clearly pencil in the Patriots because I will just pencil them all the way into the AFC Championship game because that's just what it is. no one in that division to me can come close except for, like we were saying, maybe the Jets if they catch fire with the offense that they can potentially have.
Right.
But I mean, every time or every year, everybody says, "Oh, it's Brady's, hitting a wall. He's done. He's this. He's that." And then they march right all the way to the Super Bowl. So that's a slam dunk for me. It's the Patriots all the way.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way just because that system, I mean, they get no-name guys or guys that are
right
that nobody knows about and then turns them into stars.
Right.
They get everybody to buy in, and I don't really see any team stopping them in this division outside of the Jets. I know they definitely bolstered their defense, and then they also brought in the running back, Le'Veon Bell. They have Le'Veon Bell. Their offensive weapons and Robbie Anderson. They got a couple of guys out there that can actually, do some damage. So I honestly think that the only team that could potentially challenge them is the Jets, and also having Adam Gase from the Dolphins, so he knows how to beat the Patriots.
Right.
That whole piece, but
well, and then another key piece for them being the Jets. If Jamison Crowder, who I believe is nicked up right now,
right,
he used to play for Washington. If he can stay healthy, which that's kind of been his issue here the last few years, if he can stay healthy, he's going to provide a nice safety blanket out of the slot. He's got short hands. He runs routes. He can create separation.
He's a good dude.
So he could potentially be a matchup nightmare. So
absolutely.
Yeah, they're the only team, in my opinion, that can really get close, like we both just said. But, again,
it's the Patriots.
It's the Patriots. They're just going to kind of run away with that one. So
yeah.
All right, so that's our predictions for the week as far as the division. So we'll get into the other division next week. Let's just get into the issue with the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott.
Man, bro.
Turning down $30 million.
And allegedly wanting 40. I mean,
I believe it was confirmed because I read a tweet from, and I don't want to misquote, and if I am, I'm sorry. It was somebody from ESPN. And then there was multiple sources, but anyway, so they confirmed that that Dak's camp really did counter with $40 million per year.
$40 million. So I'm pretty sure, I'm like 98% sure they have like $75 million in cap for next year on the books of free space. So if he takes 40, that's what 35 left for Zeke, Amari, and everybody else. Like that's pretty doggone selfish in my opinion. And at the end of the day, yes, I'm going to admit this as an Eagles fan that, he has shown up. I'm pretty sure within the last 8 games, he did go 7-1. Mm-hmm. He has the second most wins since he's been in the league behind Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. So, at the end of the day, he's a game manager and he has the stats to prove it. But the caveat is, he did it with Ezekiel Elliott. He did with one of the top 5 offensive lines. He did that with a decent defense that can, keep other teams' offenses off the field. So they're thinking, well, yeah, you did all those things, but the offense really runs through Zeke and that offensive line and having a stud defense. That's why they're not really willing to commit that much money. And then, like I said before, it's one of those things where it's like, well, if you pay him 40, what's left for everybody else?
Right.
So.
Well, and then not only that, but if Jerry Jones and them just say, okay, fine, like we're clearly at an impasse, you go ahead and play the season, and then we'll figure this out. Basically, test his gangsters. Just tell them, all right, basically go walk, test the market.
Test the market, bro.
And then so I was seeing things, people were asking the questions, well, does Dallas franchise him?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
I'm like, well... you could. I don't know what the cap number is. So it's 20, maybe 25 million or something if they franchise him.
If they franchise him, it should be between 25, 30-ish.
Something, yeah. I'm not correct on the numbers. So he could be potentially looking at playing the Kirk Cousins game.
And
then maybe somebody else will pay him or whatever.
Right.
My thing is this. I'd let him walk, test the market. He's not even going to get a $30 million offer.
No.
I don't think so.
No. Because no matter where he goes, they're going to say you were a product of the system. Yeah.
Right. And they try to typecast a lot of players like that, you know. So, it'll be interesting to see, but part of me would like to see how he performs without Zeke, assuming Zeke doesn't come back.
Right.
You know what I mean? This year, if he sits out, whatever he's planning on doing. I would like to see how well they do.
With just him and Amari or him, Amari and Cobb, or however you want to break that down.
Right, and people are going to, they got Jason Witten and da-da-da-da-da. I'm interested to see how his health is going to be.
Right, because he's got knee issues and he's been out the league for a year.
Which you could say, okay, well, he got the rest.
Right.
Older player, he got the rest. He might feel better than he ever has.
Right.
But, I mean, he's still going to get knocked around. He's clearly a step or two slower.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see how it works out. And then what if Dak decides to go the Flacco route and bet on himself? Like, he's, you know what, I'm just going to play this out. You know, if I mess around and do well, I'm good. But if he does not do well, that 30's coming down. Like, it's going to be a wrap. So right. I don't know if we can really compare situations because Flacco's situation, he didn't have as much competition in the AFC as Dak has in the NFC. I mean, you look at all the quarterbacks that he has to play. He has to play Carson Wentz. He's got to play you guys. He's got to play Aaron Rodgers. He's got to go up against, the Rams. There's all these different quarterbacks that are, I mean, even the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, there's so many guys in the NFC, and they're so talented. I don't know, odds-wise, if he can have that great of an argument or that great of a season based on not just that, but also their schedule, because they don't have consecutive back-to-back home games. That's something else you really got to think about. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I were him, just weighing all those options and all those different variables, I would honestly sit and think, well, I might take the 30 now, just because of how it's just being reasonable. Because if you go out and blow it, that number's coming down to 25.
Well, right. Well, yeah, if you're lucky.
The
way I see them maybe meeting him at 35 or potentially getting 40 is if they get to the NFC Championship game and or the Super Bowl.
Right.
I don't see that happening.
No.
But, I mean, I didn't see them doing that well last year either, and they surprised a lot of people.
Right.
So,
that's true.
I mean, the jury's still out on it. I mean, it makes for good radio.
Great radio.
Makes for good TV.
Yes, sir.
So, but nothing makes for better radio or better TV than Hard Knocks, especially this year with Antonio Brown and his frozen foot situation and his helmet situation and that god-awful mustache.
Yeah, you got to fix that. It clashes with the the black and the silver. You got to fix that, bro.
Yeah, so another episode of Hard Knocks comes on tonight at, was it 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock, sir.
So today's Tuesday, was it 13th? August 13th.
Yeah, man.
So it comes on tonight. It'll be interesting to see how, maybe if they've already edited the show, given what's taken place in the media, if they've gone back and re-edited the show to maybe show more of Antonio Brown and his helmet situation and all of that.
Yeah, because like we were talking before the show, there's a little bit of a loophole in that rule where his helmet that he has right now, the one that he wants to use, is 10 years old.
Right.
But they stopped making that helmet, I want to say, within the last 3 years. So if he can find his exact helmet with those specifications, he can still use it.
Right.
And then you also brought up something else. You also said that if a fan somehow finds that helmet, he'll do...
Yeah, so he was pretty much put it out there to have people, hey, if you can find me this helmet with these specifications that are within the age limit or whatever, he's willing to trade, basically get that helmet, and he will give his practice worn helmet because he hasn't played a game, practice worn Raiders helmet signed. So
I mean that's a pretty good trade-off, and especially if you're trying to hype the base up and get the helmet that you want. I think that's pretty cool.
Right.
And then he also came out and basically said, he was never really going to retire. He was just trying to use that as leverage towards the end.
He wasn't going to. I mean, what does he do this year? Was it like 30 mil or something like that?
No legitimate individual. Nobody walks away from 30 million. No, not at all.
No,
so
I mean, even if he had to sit his frozen feet on the sideline.
Hey man, that's 30 million in the bank. Like nobody's gonna walk away from that. So there's that, and then one thing I can appreciate is that Chucky is playing it 100%. PC. Like, hey man, we'll have him back when he's ready. That's a personal matter. He's handling it. He's. Going
but you gotta know he's irritated.
Oh, but that's what I was gonna say. He's playing it up for the cameras, but I guarantee you, there's a couple of broken plaques and kicked over trash cans and busted stuff in his office.
I mean, honestly though, it's Antonio Brown. It's not like he hasn't acted like this before.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's a diva.
So you had to know what you were potentially getting out of Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
and I also look at it like this: people were so interested and concerned about his the hypothermia with his feet.
Yeah, man.
So what better way to get the discussion off of that than to start this crap about a helmet? So to me, I think it was smoke and mirrors. I think it was a misdirection.
Probably.
I mean, well played on his part because
PR
everybody
team
bid on it because that's all everybody's been talking about. So.
Right. Got their eyes off the feet.
Right. So
that makes sense. I get it.
I mean, we'll see.
We're looking forward to this tonight. Looking for this episode tonight. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want to go ahead and get into camp updates with the Skins?
Yeah, so it's largely the same. There's still issues with Trent Williams. So now I listened to JP Finley,
Right.
who he called into, I forgot what show it was, but it was on 106.7 The Fan.
Right.
He pretty much is saying Trent Williams is as good as gone.
Right.
And he's a media insider for the team.
Okay. So he's that guy. So he's like our Dave Spadaro.
Yeah. And then we have Craig Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
And some other beat reporters. So I follow them closely. And I mean, it doesn't look good. It doesn't sound good.
Mm-hmm.
Although Adam Schefter tweeted, I think it was yesterday, confirming basically what the Redskins are saying, that they have no interest in trading Trent Williams. So I don't know. I mean, I think they'll hold out as long as possible
and wait for it like that offer.
Yeah, because once Trent starts missing game checks, I mean, it was probably, so I think he's like due $13.5 million this year.
That's a lot of money.
It was like $700,000 every week. So
yeah.
I mean, you start missing those. I don't know. I mean, I'm not in that man's pockets. I don't try to get in.
We don't know how much
pockets,
he got, but that's a lot of money, bro.
Right. So maybe they're gonna try to bet on that angle.
Okay.
And maybe he's betting on the fact that, especially after seeing that first preseason game where our offensive line was atrocious, he's sitting back and laughing because he's thinking like, okay, well, shit, maybe you got to pay me. Yeah. Again, because nobody's heard anything from Trent or his people, we don't know if it is the medical issue and he just doesn't trust the training staff and doesn't get along with Bruce Allen.
It is a thing.
Or is it that he wants more money? We don't know.
We don't know.
If it's the money thing, pay him, get him back, and then let's go. But other than that, Darius Geis won't be playing Thursday.
Okay. That's smart.
McCoy
you
won't be playing Thursday.
Okay.
I'm not too concerned about the Darius Geis thing. I heard some people trying to ruffle feathers more than what it is. I mean, the dude towards ACL, you want to bring him back slowly as far as his workload in practice and all that type of stuff. If he's not 100% for whatever reason, don't even risk it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, the armchair GMs at home trying to start some stuff. Like, that's crazy. The last thing you want is this guy on the sideline for another season.
Right. So there's that. Haskins' development. I mean, I thought there was a lot of good takeaways from the first game, which I talked about last week. You get some stuff on film. He'll be able to watch it.
Right.
Coaches be able to help him. It was mostly, to me, like footwork and decision making. I mean, I thought he made some good decisions, but ultimately, I mean, it's just going to be reps,
Absolutely.
So,
I get it.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, all things are pointing to Case Keenum starting week 1, which to me, I think is more logical. Jay Gruden's coaching for his job this
100%,
year.
absolutely.
So you're not going to ride out with Colt McCoy. I mean, he's getting nicked up and banged up in practice.
Snapped his whole leg last season.
Right, but durability's always been an issue for him.
100%.
So you're not going to go into a do-or-die season with him starting.
Nope.
So to me, you roll with Keenum. See how Haskins comes along.
Yeah.
I mean, if all hell breaks loose and, the train falls off the tracks, maybe you just put Haskins in if you feel it's a lost season and just let him take his lumps.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people always say, oh, well, let him sit on the sidelines and just learn. There's so much you can learn by just watching. But you're not going to get a taste for the speed of the game until you're in and dealing with the speed of the game. So
absolutely, because think back to what happened with us, where we got a monster offer for Sam Bradford when we fleeced the Vikings and all that, and then before you know it, Carson Wentz was starting. We're expecting him to sit for a season,
right?
And then after adjusting to the speed of the game, he actually turned out okay. I'm pretty sure he had like a 9-7 or I'm sorry, a 7-9 season or whatnot. But that was his first season out.
Well, right.
I mean, he's gotten better since, obviously. So sometimes it's not always a bad thing.
No.
So
yeah. So. That's pretty much it. Nobody else really, or at least that I saw, was really banged up or hurt or not expected to play. I mean, I don't expect most of your starters to play again,
right?
Because they go through the whole dress rehearsal in the third preseason game,
right?
So I mean, that's pretty much it. But like I said, I'm convinced at this point that Trent Williams won't play for the Redskins anymore,
right?
So I mean, it sucks, but
if
the Skins make up that in their mind, trade him, get something for him.
Get something for him. Something.
I mean, to me, at best, you can get is probably a second round, but I'm thinking you can get somebody to give you a third or fourth round pick.
I was about to say that, a solid second or a third and a fourth, and then just roll with it.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's talk about these Eagles. So we've had some roster moves. We had a guy who was like a hometown favorite in Shelton Gibson. He caught a few passes, played about 15 games last season. We actually released him because he ended up being injured, and signing Sojourn Shelton, cornerback. Just I guess as a camp guy. Dude was a 5th rounder from West Virginia. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know. We waived Blake Countess for the same reason. Just because we have, Malcolm Jenkins is healthy. We still have Sendejo back there. We brought in the guy from Tennessee. Don't remember his name right now. He ended up being actually pretty legit, making some big plays in the last preseason game. So it's not a loss. I think we're pretty solid at safety. Also, we still have Rodney McLeod, which is, dude's a baller before he got injured. After that, we re-signed Aziz Shitu. He was on our squad last season all the way up to the final cuts and ended up getting cut. But he's just a camp guy. But he has played a few snaps. He actually sat on Cowboys practice squad last year, so we brought him back. And then we traded an undrafted free agent. We traded for Eli Harold. He is a defensive end, former linebacker, and we traded Ryan Bates, another camp guy, just to help out with the defensive end and things like that.
Was that the guy you guys sent him to Buffalo?
Yeah, we said the trade that we had with Buffalo. Yeah,
right.
So we got another defensive end in there. I think what we're trying to do is get that solid defensive end rotation.
Yeah,
because we have some older. Yeah, we have
so
some
you're
old.
Not wearing people out.
Because we have Brandon Graham. We did bring back Cedric Thornton. You have Derek Barnett coming off of injury. Everybody was expecting Josh Sweat to show up, and he's been the guy who's flashed more than him right now, in my opinion, was Deshaun Hall. He had a couple of huge tackles last preseason game. So I think we're really just working on trying to solidify the defensive end position right now. And also, word on the street is that people are calling about Vaitai, the guy who held down our left side, in the Super Bowl for the back half of that season. So, yes, we do have plenty of linemen, but knowing how our team goes and how injuries occur and how we lost Brandon Brooks last year and how we lost Jason Peters and all that, I'm not willing to let that guy go for a third, unless we get a third or a third and a fourth or something decent to let that guy go, because it's about depth and championship run. And the way that Howie Roseman has built this squad, we are deep at pretty much every position except for linebacker and quarterback. So,
which it's hard to be deep at quarterback.
It's hard to be.
Most teams keep 2.
Yeah.
Some will keep 3.
Right.
Obviously the Skins will keep 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would be interested if I'm Washington to give you guys a call.
Yeah.
About Vaitai.
Yeah.
At least kick the tires, see what you guys are looking for.
Right, and he's a good left tackle. Like, if he can start, obviously he helped us win a Super Bowl. He had his best performance in the Super Bowl, so can't be mad at the situation.
Yeah, but sometimes you'd be surprised that good teams will let a bubble player go like that for some goldfish and a pack of gummy bears.
Something.
So that's what I'm saying. I would at least do my due diligence and at least call.
Yeah.
Because we have Jerron Christian and Flowers and like I said, Donald Penn, who's much older.
And there are teams out there like you guys could use them. The Texans.
I was going to say
they're
Texans.
Still pretty terrible.
Yeah. Which if we were going to trade Trent.
Yeah.
I would bet that. So far, I heard the Patriots were interested.
Oh, absolutely.
And, to me, the Texans would be a good fit.
They'd be a great
for
fit
for him. But
even the Browns they need a tackle.
Yeah.
Even the Jets, I think they could definitely use some linemen. So he plays more than one spot, but we'll see how it rolls out. See what the asking price is. See what people are willing to offer, and see if I actually end up out of there.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm a little hungry. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But let's talk about next week's topic. We were talking about who's gonna have the better long-term career when it came to these 3 quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, and Dwayne Haskins. So we're going to throw that out there just to set this up for next week. So if you want, you can go ahead and hit us up on YouTube or our website. Drop some comments. Absolutely. Drop some Drop some gems. Who do you think is going to have a better career? Because, Daniel Jones actually had a pretty legit start to preseason 1. I mean, granted, it was preseason game 1.
Right.
But 5 passes, made a couple of plays.
I mean, my thing is this. As much as people say, there's not much you could take away from the preseason, blah, blah, blah. It's like if a player shows out and does well, then it's like, it's just preseason. He was going against the 2s or the 3s or, guys that are going to be, delivering furniture next week.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, well, he can only play in the spot that they put him in.
Right.
So how does he do? My thing is, if you can't do well or show some sign of progress in the situation you're in, and it is against 2s or 3s or whatever, then to me that shows, okay, well, maybe you're not going to do well. So, yeah, to get back to that, so we'll preview Haskins, Murray, and Daniel Jones, kind of see what we personally think about what they've shown so far,
right,
and what we think. I may or may not. Well, I won't be biased towards Haskins just because he's on our team.
Yeah.
But obviously, of the 3, he's the one that I've been following closely for obvious reasons. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be good. Especially they'll get another game under their belt, so we can really watch it. And I'll go back and watch because I saw a little bit of the Cardinals game because they had replayed it.
Yeah, me too.
So, I'll go back and watch those. But I mean, yeah, for sure. I think it'll be pretty good. And then I also want to do who we predict to win offensive and defensive rookie of the year.
Ooh, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, because I mean, I do it every year just by myself, just thinking like, okay,
who's gonna pop out?
And I usually make that prediction like week 2 or 3, just to be funny, and just kind of see how it plays out. But
I got a name in the back of my head right now for defensive. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Montez Sweat. How'd you know?
Not him, but we gonna talk about it next week.
No, yeah, and then in the weeks to come, we'll get into fantasy football.
Yeah,
because please don't draft your team right now.
Please don't. But we don't know who's going.
Some people are doing that, like, and I just cringe. But at the end of the day, whatever. It's your team, it's your league. But we have some things in the work as far as fantasy, like I was telling you before.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully, I can get somebody on the show.
We got some experts out in the streets,
and the knowledge that they have is just it's ridiculous.
Algorithms.
So that is all for our show this week.
Yeah.
Again, next week we'll get into more divisional predictions. We'll get into the quarterback breakdown, and we will
talk about the defensive rookie and the offensive rookie of the year. Yeah.
And then whatever the hell else Antonio Brown does between this week and next.
You never know. You never know with that guy.
Or Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott. I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
But anyway, as always, thank you for listening. Again, we're the Average Sports Guys. Go to theaveragesportsguys.com. All of our podcasts are there.
Hit us up on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We have some funny posts. We're always dropping some gems, so check us out.
All the links to all of our social medias are on our website. Yeah. So that's why we direct everybody there.
Yep.
And as always, thanks for listening.
We out.